Hi, guys, and welcome to Miss Liz's Tea Times Making a Difference. Tonight, I am joined with Stephen Douris from Cornwall, Ontario. He is the co-founder and creator of Mentalk. And I will give the floor to Stephen so he can tell you a little bit about how it started, where it is, and all the good stuff, all the good juices. So I'll bring Stephen up so he can share with you on a little bit more on Mentalk.
Hi, I'm Stephen. As Liz just said, I want to get myself in the picture here. There we go. Mentalk started by accident, actually, by serendipitously. I had lived in my car for about 3 months, way back in the early 90s. And I met with a gentleman called Mr. Ivan Labelle. And we were at a Suicide Prevention Coalition meeting. And he said that he was tired of hearing about men sleeping in their car. And I sat around a table and I just waited. I said, I did that. And the idea was born. I told him what I wanted to do. I wanted to start a men's group where men could go and talk freely and not be afraid to say whatever they wanted to say. And it was the same goal that he had. So the two of us, after the meeting, made an appointment to sit down and talk and become Mentalk. We've been very, very fortunate. We operate bilingually. So in French, it's communique. That's a KHOMMEUNIQUE. And us, it's Mentalk in English. It's growing. It's growing every week. And since we've had our 1 year anniversary, it's growing that much more. I believe in the last week, since our one year party, we've got 6 new members. So it's really taking off. And now we're talking more about expansion into other little towns and stuff like that, because that's my goal. My dream is to have a safe place for men everywhere. And that's basically where we stand right now.
So
Go ahead.
So I believe, Stephen, that it's your 1 year anniversary, right?
That's right. The 29th of January last year was our very first opening. We had one person show up, and the following week we had a different person show up. Then the following week, back to the first person. So it kept going back and forth. And it was about the 4th week we ended up, there was, counting Ivan, myself, there was 6 of us sitting at the table. And I looked at him, and that day I said to him, we made it. It's a success. And if nobody else comes through the door, we're touching 4 people are going to be getting touched. And that's what it's been. And we've had successes over the last year. I got corrected because I said we had failures. No, we had setbacks on a couple, but it's all part of the learning curve. And but we're doing. I feel we're doing very well. I'm very happy with where the group is going, and it's the members are coming more and more into their own right now. Excuse me. And I have to thank one woman in particular for making Mentalk happen. And that's a woman that works for Canadian Mental Health, Angèle Delesio, because she's the one that kind of threw Ivan and I together. And she doesn't want to take credit for it, but it is her that's actually started the whole ball rolling, because I had talked to her. She had talked to Ivan different times because they had worked on different things together. And so she's the one at the table said, I think you two have to sit down and talk. And it's over a year now we've been talking and working at it, so it's really good. And hopefully we could do more this year. Hopefully we grow and grow and grow.
I believe when I was at the Bell Talk, there was a person that was your first member. He's actually has something going on in Ottawa now.
Yeah, that's Pat. He was actually, he was our second member. Our first member, like I said, the first week we had one guy, the following week we had another guy, and the second week was Pat. But I had met Pat prior to starting the group. I told him we were starting, and he had no way of getting into Cornwall. So I told him, well, if you want to come, because he lives in Alexandria, I said, you want to come? I'll drive you. And it's over a year now. I pick him up every Tuesday morning or Wednesday evening, whatever one, and drive him in and drive him home. And it's like, and he's now, through his growth, because he was in a very, very dark place, in a bad place, mentally, and the whole works. He was something else. Anyways, he now is doing facilitator training in Ottawa.
Cool.
He's evolving every time as time goes on, you can see him changing and changing and changing. And from somebody who was not very positive about anything, you see the positiveness in him now and how he's moving himself out of that hole that he was in. Started to climb up, and now he's starting to get to the top.
That's good. You made a difference in his life, you know, and that's all that matters, is making a difference in one person's life at a time, you know.
I usually spend about close to 2 hours a week with him in a car, just the two of us traveling back and forth. And it's some of the best conversations I've ever had. We've gone into self-analyzing each other and, saying things that we have said in group and we haven't said in group. And it's just become quite the friendship. And for our next expansion, when we start in Alexandria, he's going to be my co-facilitator up there.
That's awesome.
He's been asked to do it, and he agreed. So when we get our spot in Alexandria, he's the one that we're going to be working with me. So
awesome.
Kind of cool.
It is. So what have you learned from doing Mentalk? Like what have you gotten from Mentalk?
I learned that if you want to do anything, you could do it. Number one, I never believed that I could do something like I'm doing right now. I never believed that I could help somebody like I do right now. And I was in a bad place in the early 90s, and at that time attempting suicide and living in a truck and everything else. That life wasn't good. But fortunately I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I had somebody behind me backing me all the way, which, she's still here beside me backing me. And I learned, my place in this world now, since I've stopped working, my place in the world now is to help people and show them that there's life after depression. There's life after suicide attempts. There's life after any darkness that comes into you. There's life out there, and you got to learn to live it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm learning to live every day. Every day it's a new adventure for me. And it's not to say it's easy every day, but it's a life, and it's a life I love right now.
Yeah. Well, making a change isn't easy. It's a job in itself, making a change,
But when you have people come up to you that you didn't even realize that you actually touched, when you were at the meeting, another gentleman was talking about having helped him with his son, and I helped him with his son, and then I helped, he kept it in the back of his mind that we were having a group going. Those are things I didn't know. I knew he asked me about his son, and I pointed him in some directions in that. But to hear somebody say it after the fact, say, well, I did do something. And it's just like, shoot. And after this talk, it was posted in so many newspapers, like all the way up to Chatham, Ontario, and Sarnia and all that.
Wow.
And plus, I think we made 6 different newspapers.
That is awesome.
Really, really cool. And a person out in Vancouver back in 2017, I did a talk in Vancouver for the Canadian Mental Health Association, and it was on mental health in the workplace. And I was on a podium with this gentleman, Owen, And he had seen it posted on Facebook. And he called me or sent me messages anyways. I spent about 45 minutes on the phone with him the other day, explaining to him how to start his own group out west.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's like, it's something that's needed. And, I might get my knuckles wrapped for saying this, but over the years, women got whatever they wanted. And not because we just handed it to them. They fought for what they got.
Exactly.
Like they wanted the right to vote. They fought to get the right to vote. They wanted, equality. They fought for the equality. Whereas men, we never fought for what we should have been fighting for.
Yeah.
And to me, it's now the pendulum has swung all the way to one side, and women have very basically they have the power. And I think it's time to get the pendulum swing a little bit back towards the middle, that men would start getting help that they need. Men have the highest suicide rate of anybody. And men, I believe it's 60 and up is one of the highest rates. So
Wow.
we have to try and stop this cycle because men are just too afraid to talk out. We don't want to go to a woman and say, look, I'm having a problem. If a guy walks in, to a place, he'll talk to another guy, but he will not talk to another woman. And that's why at our groups, we don't allow women in at all. We had Angèle D'Alessio come in and did a bounce back presentation. She had to come in before the group, and she was there an extra 15 minutes, but the guys tolerated it. But the first thing they said, not during group hours. It had to be separate because no women are allowed. And because one woman steps into a room with men, it goes silent.
It does.
And we don't want it to be silent.
And it's the same way with women's group. As soon as a man walks in, we all get, so.
Yeah. And like they always say, men don't cry. Well, I'm going to tell you what, when you're sitting at a table with, I believe the night it happened, there was 11 of us at the table, and one gentleman did something. And I got to say, everybody at the table had a tear in their eye. And it's so, if they say men don't cry, that's BS. We all cry.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make men to cry publicly because it's good for the soul. It's always good to get it.
And crying shouldn't be looked at as a weakness. It should be looked at as, we have so much in us that it just needs to be released. And it's a growing strength in us, not a weakness, so.
No, there's no weakness in tears.
No.
It's just growth. There's growth it comes out of tears. I know I never cried for a long, long time. Now I cry at the drop of a hat. Maybe sometimes I cry a little too easy. Who knows? But I'll accept that. At least I know how to cry now.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to.
Well, and I strongly believe that more groups like this are needed, right? Because if we want strong men in our lives as women, we need to let men be able to express themselves as well and have that comfort zone within other men, not be like, oh, well, just get over it. Like, I know for my father, he was really cold and silent a lot because he couldn't express himself the right way without coming off as, like, just hear me kind of thing, right? So it would be like the shouting and all that, where if he would have had a group like this, I think it would have helped him a lot to express himself better with us girls, especially.
Well, I remember growing up in my father's old school for sure. And I remember him hitting me and actually saying, if you cry, you'll get more. So, I wasn't allowed to cry then. And, being told as a very young kid, I was never going to amount to much. I was never going to do anything. And I look at it and say, geez, you know what? Screw him. I will cry and I will achieve something. And everything I do, and with this group and everything else, I've had people reaping praise on me. I don't do it for the praise. I do it for the men. And when I look around and see people say, "Oh, you're doing fine." Yes, we're doing good. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear you're doing good, but I don't want to I'm not there to be tapped on the back and on the shoulder and say, "Oh, you're
I
fantastic."
completely get that.
It's like, no, I'm just doing what is right, and if you help somebody, you're doing the right thing. If you kick them, like I always like to say, I'd rather give a man a hand up than kick him when he's down, because
Yeah.
it's the right thing to do. And so don't praise me, don't glorify me. I don't want that. That's not me.
Yeah,
I'm just
I'm the same way. Like a lot of people are like, Liz, why are you doing Miss Liz T? Like, and I don't do it to get a pat on the back. I do it because we all can make a difference in the world. And for me, it's through a cup of tea. So, and I love tea, and for me, tea is strong. So that's why I do Miss Liz, and I'm coming out with this platform because a lot of people don't know about the services in Cornwall. And that's one of the things I wanted to do, was bring awareness to different services, projects, movements, causes that are important and that need to be heard and know about, So that's why I offered you to be on Miss Liz's, because I wanted people to know in Cornwall and all over that men do have groups and supports, and you guys are actually opening doors, and by sharing on these platforms, you're opening a door.
Well, when I retired, I took on a whole bunch of different things that I do. And I believe that the only thing I got left now is time, because I don't work. I'm retired. So I have the only thing I got left to give is time. I don't have money. So I give my time to the United Way. I give my time to Canadian Mental Health. I give my time to Big Brothers Big Sisters for causes like yours. I give it to our men's group. And I just want to give now, and nobody forces me to do anything. And like when I look at my men's group, or our men's group rather, it is there for everybody, and we don't ask for anything. It's a completely nonprofit. We don't charge a person to come through the door. You want to come through the door, you come through the door. We did have tea at the last one. One of the gentlemen was drinking tea. Usually it's coffee because it's easier to make, and it doesn't make as much noise when they're stirring it. But it's just to make people feel welcome. And you're talking about tea. I drink the odd cup of green tea. I don't drink much at night anymore. But my feeling of when I used to drink tea a lot was when I was with my grandmother, and we had 2 blue mugs, and we lived in a trailer down the townships in the summer, and I'd sit there with her, and I'd make the tea one time, she would make the next time. And the talks my grandmother and I had, I think the person I am today, the one I have to thank for it, is my grandmother, because she taught me what it was to give, what it was there for, to give people help and never look down on anybody. And my grandmother was so fantastic. We'd sit there, and the Jehovah's Witnesses would come to the door, and say, "Oh God," I would want to run. And my grandmother would say, "Come on in, have a cup of tea." So to be here for 2 hours, and we always had books at home and reading, but my grandmother and I loved our tea together. And I drove. It was an hour and 15-minute drive from my house on South Shore of Montreal, to my grandmother's trailer. And my first wife and I used to get in the car at night, middle of the week, out of the blue, get in the car and take off, and we go down to my grandmother's place, and we drive in, have a cup of tea with her, and turn and come back home. But it was just like, made her night, made
Well,
mine.
and it brings good memories back. For me, at least, tea brings back amazing memories, because it was a time where we got to sit and communicate and talk with each other, right? Like you said, like driving down the road and just going for a cup of tea. You don't see that anymore. You don't people driving to Tim Hortons or Starbucks, but you don't see people joining at each other's homes anymore and making memories, you know. So through tea time, that's what I'm hoping, is that people reconnect with their families, with friends, you know, get together, have a tea time. You don't need to have a party, just tea time.
And like you're saying with the tea time, whatever, um, people have to start talking again. You know, I have my cell phone right here with me, but what I've done now is it used to be on all the time. I've learned how to turn it off. 10 o'clock at night, it goes silent. It will come back on at 7 o'clock in the morning because I don't want to listen to it. And I went to see a movie a couple months ago now. And from there, I learned, like, let's start talking again. I have friends that text, and they've been told, you text me once. If I don't answer you, I'm busy. I'll answer you. But the next one, I want a phone call. I don't want this. And call and talk to me. This instant messaging and message. No,
Yeah.
call me.
And
Talk
there's
to me.
also miscommunications as well through texting, I find, for myself. Everybody's always like, oh my God, Liz is mad. I'm not mad. I'm just typing, and maybe the way I'm typing the words, I seem like I'm mad, but I'm not. I'm just.
Well, I listened to you type before. I could understand that.
Yeah, on the laptop, I'm a hard typer. But yeah,
Well, it's the same as last night when I asked you to call me because I didn't know how this worked.
mm-hmm.
And you sent me a thing. Just click on the link. No, talk to me. Explain it to me. I'd rather hear the voice. Never mind sending me these messages. Call me. The phone
Yeah,
number's there. The phone's there to use. You know, I pay enough money a month for the phone. Call me.
exactly. Right. My biggest thing is all these upgrades. Like, now I need to get a new phone because apparently the new phone, that the phone I have, doesn't work anymore. So all the updates are all out of style. So I guess there's lifespan on these technology things too. So, but it's in good shape. Like, it's
Well,
not cracked, it's not broken. Like, but I have to get a
it's
new
just
one.
getting old with us. Well, I got a new one. Mine's less than a week old, so I'm doing good. I needed an upgrade, so I got it. But I I use my phone a lot, but I rather talk like I'm doing
Exactly.
right now to a
Yeah.
person I could see. If I could use Skype or this anytime for conversations, I would love it because they get to see a person when you talk and you look at their expressions and you say, "Oh, okay, she's not mad at me.
Yeah.
She's actually
Oh, she's really
smirking
paying
as I say,
attention.
yeah, yeah, yeah." Other than, "Oh, yes, so what?"
Yeah. Or that LOL, right? Where like you laugh out loud. Is she really laughing? Like,
Yeah, she's going, "I'm gonna work that one is." One of the things I would like to say about my group, or our group, I mean, everything we do is confidential. Okay. And it's one of the premises that we had. So the men have come in, they've talked, they said whatever they want to say, and they know they're safe going out. And when I said before, we want to create a safe space. And that's exactly what we've done. Guys have come in, there's been things said that, would rock most people's socks off. And all they do is sit there and smile and say, geez, non-judgmental and private. It's
oh, I
says
think
that men don't talk.
you're frozen there, Stephen. Are you there? Let's see if I bring it this way. Stephen. Good old technology. We're just going to give him a few seconds, see if he comes back. So in the meantime, I believe he's going to try and re-enter. We'll see if he comes back. In the meantime, if anyone has any questions or anything about Mentalk, please leave a comment or message in the comment below, and I will for sure get Stephen to answer any questions that you might have. If you're in Cornwall and you'd like to know more about Mentalk, you can reach out to Stephen Douris or Yvan, and they will answer all your questions. I'm not sure if he's going to end up coming back, but until then, for all the men out there who are watching, what are you guys looking for? What kind of services are you looking for? What kind of guests would you like me to have on here for men? What would empower you? What exactly do men need to be stronger? Oh, and I think Stephen is coming back.
There he is.
Oh, I got you back.
Yeah.
Technology, right? So I was just
Yeah.
letting them know while you were gone that if they needed to reach out to you or anything, they could reach out to you, Stephen or Yvan. And if you have any questions, if you have a link or an address that I can put into the comments so that they can look into the groups as well. If they need to ask any questions at all, they could reach out to you personally, if that's okay.
We have an email address. It's MH. No, I will give it to you, Liz, to put it down because I just had a senior's moment there, so it's gone. But it's mental health for men, actually, what it is. But it's all letters, and yeah, reach out or call Yvan. I'll give you the numbers for Yvan that you could post. And the group is open to anybody who identifies as a male, 18 years and older. And the doors are wide open, 9:30 to 11:30 Tuesday mornings, and 5:30 to 7:30 Wednesday evenings at 841 Sydney Street in Cornwall.
Okay, so you're on Sydney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right in the Tudor Mall.
Okay. Now, are the groups where the Bell Talk was, or is that in a different location?
No, in where the Bell Talk was on Tuesday mornings, and we're upstairs on Wednesday evenings in a conference room, because that room that we're in is usually booked on Wednesday evening. So we have to go upstairs, which is fine. It's a cozier room, actually. We could throw things closer to each other, and coffee is free. So come on in, or if you want a tea, the tea is free also. We have kettle and tea bags, lots there for everybody.
Well, that's good to know that there's tea.
Always have tea. And now that I've been on here with you, Liz, I'll make sure there's always tea in the room.
That sounds good. I like that. So with that, Stephen, I think we're going to close this one up. But if you'd like to come back at any time and be on TeaTime, if there's any new announcements or anything that you'd like to get out there, we could do a shorter broadcast. Anything at all, reach out to me and I will get it out there for you. Send me the email address.
And if you need me for anything, you call me.
I sure will. Yeah, I won't text you. I'll call.
That's why I said it.
I do have your number. So with that, guys, I'm going to say thank you for joining me tonight for Miss Liz's TeaTime. And we will see you tomorrow morning, because I have another guest on tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And she's from Switzerland. So she'll be speaking about the I Love Me project. So join me then. And thank you, Stephen, again, for a beautiful TeaTime together.
Thank you, Liz. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.